Alright, so the question today is, with the recent shooting of Charlie Kirk and all the political violence over the last few years, where do all these hate and calls for violence come from? Is it no longer safe to have public political discourse? Simple, to the point, let's see what it thinks. So Stone, what is your opinion of using AI as a conglomerate in order to gather information and obtain a slight perspective, knowing that, you know, the possible biases in the AI itself, but without an ability to find, like, you know, the main sources for it, essentially, right, and spending the hours to do it? It's much easier just to, like, ask and find out, like, where things are going, looking at all sorts of other things. And this is very much something we've talked about many times before. And just kind of looking at it from almost a scientific perspective of being like, we have to add up all of these notches to create, you know, a sequential total number of what are the value that we put on this. Because where people will say, it's like the subtext of all lives matter. It's like, yes, all lives matter, but some lives matter more than others. And you can say that's not true all you want, but if you had the choice of, if you don't press this button within the next 10 minutes, one of your parents is going to die, but if you press this random button, someone that you don't know will die. You're obviously going to press the button, because you care more about your parent than you do about a random stranger. And that totally makes sense, because the parent is in your life and they're your parent. You obviously care about them more than some random stranger. So you have to take that nuance into account, and I think a better way to say it is, no one's life is useless. Everyone's life has a purpose. It's just some people's purpose in life is to build the next generation of faster-than-light star travel, or the next propulsion engine, so the cure for cancer, the cure for balding, nanotechnology. Like, it's the same thing, it's just placed into a different category. It's like, yes, we could... Why do you think everyone knows the name Albert Einstein? Because people are not equal. But everyone has value. But just because everyone has value doesn't mean some people have more value than others. And people are really, really afraid to say that. Or your parent is trash, so you adamantly wouldn't hit the button. Either way, one will die. I guess that's true, Sean. It all depends on your connection to your parent. And then we could take that one, Sean, with a negative thing, where it's like, well, you would obviously want your parent to die because it was a negative emotion into it, but now you're purposefully wanting someone to die, as opposed to saying, I just don't want this person to die. It's like a passive versus active, right? This is me saying I don't want someone to die, and that's you saying I want someone to die. But I definitely understand that. And I think that would be a very interesting mentality for, like, a thought experiment to, you know, to see how many people would go through with that. But we all know what happened with the last thought experiment. The women chose the bear. And now they're all dead, and we're trying to experiment with fake wombs now. What a fucking world we live in, guys. Absolutely fucking crazy. Not exactly, because it could just be indifference to the parent, while the stranger literally is innocent in your eyes. I guess, see, Sean, that's why discourse is important. Because both of the points that you brought up, I probably never would have considered, because I have an amazing relationship with my parents. So it's just not where my mind goes. That's not to say you don't, but that's my bias, right? And that's where, like, the inflection of that is coming from. And Queen, what do you mean, wait, what? What did I say that was inaccurate, Queen? No, I'm just fucking with. Don't actually try and type anything. I'm totally fucking with you, Queen. Obviously, I was joking and being hyperbolic. I just thought it would be fucking funny. I don't know, I'm listening. I swear, guys, I make fun of everyone, okay? Don't worry. I am not a specific. I make fun of brown people, I make fun of white people, I make fun of black people, I make fun of women, I make fun of men. I make fun of the gays, I make fun of the straights, I make fun of the smokers, I make fun of the non-smokers. I make fun of everyone, because we all gotta laugh together, guys. Right? I mean, there are some things that I say that are malicious that I don't necessarily should, let's say, not say, but you know, like Smokey's a piece of shit and fuck Smokey. Why would I ever want Smokey here? No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Smokey. I know you're out there somewhere playing PoE. I love you. I know your butt hurt, so I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to fuck with you. Heart Smokey. I feel bad. I don't want to fuck with you. Smoking and listening to you rant. Smoking and listening to you rant. My parents were great right up to the point of the divorce, then it became a challenge for either of them to be the amazing parents they used to be. My mom is as much as I love her, is outright insane. I always say I'm Coke fiend, but I'm referring to Coca-Cola. Well, I'm sorry for that, Sean. That's unfortunate. At least you had a good raising, right? You had it while it lasted, right? Always gotta be the turning points in our lives for some things like that, right? Alright, well, here's another one, guys. Welcome. I'm Intoxication. In this video, we're going to do some commentary on political discourse and how far we've kind of fallen on this scale of rhetoric and where the rhetoric is going, and whether like discussions on these topics is going to be even safe moving forward into the future, you know, on a noticeable public scale. Like, for instance, it kind of mentions in this with COVID, where it's like being restricted back to what you're able to say to such an extreme, like, because it hasn't been held to such a degree that now it's going to be overcompensated for. So today was the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and my prayers go out to the family and his family and everything. I never watched him. I didn't really know anything about him. I'd heard maybe there was going to be a debate or something like that with Hassan or something like that. I have no idea. And when Asman said, I saw a post on Twitter from Asman talking about Charlie Kirk, so I looked it up. Shouldn't have. There needs to be more censorship when it comes to gore. Yeah, that was fucked up. But if you've seen the video, you know. You know, if you know, you know. But anyways, so yeah, the question is, the recent shooting of Charlie Kirk and all the political violence over the last few years, where does all this hate and all these calls for violence come from? Is it no longer safe to have public political discourse? And this is calling out both Democrats and Republicans to the point of, especially I would say the fact that at this moment the shooter is at large and no one really has any information. If he gets away, or she gets away, whoever they are gets away, that's going to incite more people to be able to do these things, because they're going to be like, I'm going to be able to get away with it. So I think that's probably one of the scariest factors, other than the factor that Charlie Kirk, as far as I know, was not associated with any actual government agency. He had no pull or sway when it came to policy. He simply wanted public discourse on things. And I think that's a very scary thing. Like, I would say I've not been publicly scared at this moment since, like, fucking 9/11. Of being, like, the direction that the country's gonna go. And I'm Canadian. I'm not even American. It's just influence through proxy is an extreme thing from America, because America has a massive influence on Canada. But anyways, so let's get into it. The divorce talk happened right behind me while I was watching TV at age 16. Ugh. Yeah. That'd do it, Sean. When they'd have, they don't even, hey, you want to hear something fucked up, Sean? I heard this from my sister. I hear all kinds of fucked up shit from my sister, because my sister apparently is in the know because she's a snoop. She's a snoop, and she's a person watcher. I just sit in my room. But apparently, she talked when she was like 8. She was like 8, so I would have been Harriet the Spy in real life. You could say that, Sean. But when she was 8, and like I was like 10, apparently she talked my mom out of leaving my dad. Like, she had all of her shit packed up. She was like her sister was coming to pick her up. And my sister talked her out of, like, not leaving. Or, like, talked her out of leaving. And she stayed. And I found this out when I was, like, 25. I was like, wait, what? Wait, did Dad even know? And she was like, no. And I was like, wait, what? The fuck? I guess that's woman bonding, eh? I have no idea. My dad kind of, well, like, he had some, like, he's like me. He has anger issues. He has a temper. And he went through some fucked up shit with his work. Yeah, that's a whole other story. That's the reason why he's fucking rich now. Because the government fucked him over, and he fucked them back pretty damn hard. So he's set for fucking life. Good choice, honestly. If they divorce later, sticking it out till the children are adults is always the right choice. That's like my friend Sean. Josh. He was an accident. And he's always known he was an accident. And his parents stayed together because of him. But his dad's an asshole, and his parents, like, hate each other, but, like, they raised him and his sister. Mine divorced when I was, like, 11, but they kept in communication and good standing till I turned 18. So at least you had the growing after that. They fully, amicably stopped talking. And it was, like, kind of just two separate entities, and then you were an adult, so they never had any expectation for, you know, you being a mediator between them or anything like that? Or was it like, you know, if you talk to them, they'd ask you if you talk to the other one and then get upset at you? Like, that would be the worst thing for me, is like, like having to feel like you have to pick a side, because if you, like, do both, then they're both gonna, I was never put between them. That's good. That's good to hear. I'm glad. That's the worst. Especially if it's, like, in a vindictive way of trying to, like, use you in some way to, like, get revenge or something like that. Because I have no friends that have had... they've had that shit happen to them. I've had all kinds of spectrums of friends. That's what happens when you have a lot of friends, but... My dad never wanted the divorce. He messed up, so he couldn't stand being... around my mom after that. I had to choose one of them to invite to my kids' birthdays, so I picked my dad because my mom was never happy at a party. That makes sense, Sean. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that sounds like you having kids as well, so it's like, then you don't, you know, the kids almost get put between the grandparents too. Like, man. I couldn't imagine. I'm fucked up and I had an amazing raising. I couldn't imagine how fucked up I would be if my raising was fucked up. It's a very scary thought. Alright, here we go. Let's get into it. The shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University event earlier today, which resulted in his death, is a tragic escalation in a pattern of political violence that has intensified in the United States over the past several years. Kids don't even remember my mom. That's the sad part, when I lived with her for a time after my own divorce. Yeah, that is really unfortunate to not know, for your kids not to know. Stuff like that. It's like, then you want to make sure that, like, your kids, and then you wind up in a divorce yourself, and now you're like, well, they're like me now. It's like, what are they going to be like when they have kids? Because, like, do you have grandkids, Sean? Because your kids are, like in their 20s, aren't they? Like, they're adults? This incident follows a string of high-profile attacks, including assassination attempts on political figures, threats against elected officials, and ideologically motivated violence at protests and events. Not yet, but my ex and I are already being, are alright being around each other. I guess that's a true difference, right? That you guys are on, like, good enough terms that you could both show up to your grandkids' events and it wouldn't be, you know, an issue. It's like getting along for them to a point, right? But as long as I can make it, I'll make it, even if I don't participate. Yeah, whereas it's like, I don't know if I think I've said this before, but like my brother-in-law, like, I've known him for like a really long time. Like before, like he knew my sister, but they were just friends through like another friend of my sister's. But I'd known him for like forever, through that. Before they were even like dated, before they even got married, before they even had kids. And he had where the entirety up until like last year. So this would have been about 12 years? Probably 12 years of knowing him, and I'd never heard a peep about his dad. I knew about his stepdad and like his half-brother and sister, and like I knew basically most of his family and stuff, but I'd never heard a single mention of his dad, to the point I never wanted to bring it up because I thought his dad was dead. But it turns out his dad's just an absolute piece of shit, to the point that his dad didn't show up to his wedding, but his dad's wife showed up to his wedding. I think that pretty much fucking says it all. So, yeah, literally, it's wasted breath to even talk about him, pretty much. Which I was like, oh, I'm much more comfortable with that than him being dead. I mean, it sucks that he's a deadbeat and shit, but I mean, at least he's fucking alive, right? Would you rather have like a deadbeat piece of shit dad, or a dead dad? I'm like, oh, it's you know, a good dead dad. At least there had to have been good moments, right? Like I don't know. I can't choose a dead dad over a deadbeat dad. At least he's alive. At least there's potential in the future. You never know. We're only human. A deadbeat dad, though. I mean, I guess it depends on how he died, Sean. And when he died. Because even if he's a deadbeat dad and he dies when you're 8, even if he's a deadbeat, you're still gonna, like, mourn the loss, right? I mean, you're gonna mourn the loss anyways. Like, you're gonna mourn a lot more when it's 8, when it's like, you're 34, he's 60, and he dies. If they go skydiving, I'll stand there and watch them take off and be holding my proverbial breath, waiting for their safe landing. Yeah, I could definitely see that. He'd still be alive if he had just come back to your stupid game, for example. Yeah, something like that. That's a good backstory, Sean. That, yeah, my deadbeat dad, so he was supposed to be at, my ball game, but instead he decided to go to the liquor store and buy booze, And he wound up getting shot by a thief. And died. If only he had come to my baseball game instead of trying to get drunk, he wouldn't have fucking died. I don't know about you. I think that's a pretty good backstory. Stupid fucking old man. If only he had shown up. Be alive today. That's a good first sentence, guys. That's a good first fucking sentence. That draws you in. That draws you in. So the dad died because he was a deadbeat. And if he had been a supportive father, he'd still be alive. That would make his death ironically justified in the son's mind. Yeah, and if they're like young or something like that, they could have grown up with this entire grudge over it. And it could be like a working trauma that they could have to deal with, where it's like they have this almost hatred for themselves for like non-acceptance, but it's buried so deep. It's like affecting their own relationships in life, and they don't really understand why. And it's like this residual guilt for the way that they feel about their dad's death. And it's something they just have to come to terms with like recognizing it and accepting it and knowing that that's just how they feel. It's like, it's not about changing that feeling, it's about finding it, recognizing it, and not allowing it to control you. That would be a fucking amazing journey. Sounds like I got another short story on my hands, guys. This shit just comes to me. To understand where the hate and calls for violence stem from, it's important to examine the multifaceted drivers, drawing from research, expert analysis, and public discourse. These aren't attributable to a single side, but rather a toxic interplay of factors that have deepened societal divides. Key sources of hate and calls for violence. Oh, was Book here when I started writing Treehouse Isekai? I don't think so. Book, are you still there? Still hanging out there? You should drop the link for it, Sean, so she can go read it. I mean, if she was here, she hadn't said anything in chat. I mean, I assume because, like, we're 8 hours into the stream, but, like, this is, like, you know, normally 2 hours into the stream. So, the regulars usually start showing up, like, around, like, now and, like, an hour and a half from now. Like, because Smokey, Cute Muffin, Levi, Deja, Joku. I think there's a couple of other random guys that, you know, pop in every once in a while in the later hours of the stream because they're from, like, you know, like either Australia or way more eastern countries. So they're, like, you know, 8 hours off. Like, what is Smokey's in Swedish? In Switzerland or something like that? No, it wasn't. He's Welsh. Sorry, he's Welsh. He's in Wales. He's from Wales. He is like 7.5 hours ahead of me. So it's 3 a.m. for me, which means it's 10 a.m. for him. So when he popped in here like 4 hours ago, it was like 6. So he's probably out doing his thing with his dogs. I know he was like hanging out with his brother and shit like that. But let's see, is he actually playing Path of Exile? I can check on Discord. I mean, he may just have the game open, but... No, he's on Discord, he is active, and he is playing Path of Exile. I'm just gonna say, fuck you. And he's gonna come on and he's gonna be like, hey, 3 a.m. J Station hours. Yeah, I'm, Alberta, Mountain Central, or Mountain Standard. Good old Alberta. Political violence in the U.S. from 2020 to 2025 has roots in long-standing trends amplified by recent events like COVID-19 pandemic, the 2020 election disputes, economic pressures, and cultural shifts. Here's a breakdown of major contributing factors based on analysis from academics, government reports, and media across the political spectrum. Extreme political polarization and partisan rhetoric. The U.S. has seen a sharp rise in effective polarization, where people view the opposing party not just as wrong, but as an existential threat. Leaders on both sides have used inflammatory language, Democrats labeling conservatives as threats to democracy or Nazis, and Republicans accusing liberals of destroying America through policies on immigration or social issues. This rhetoric, often amplified by figures like former President Donald Trump or President Joe Biden. Shouldn't it say President Donald Trump and former President Joe Biden? You know, this is where small conspiracies for me come out, in the wording of the bias of the AI itself. And this is what I keep an eye out for, is like, it's talking about a person that died today, so it knows what the date of today is. And I think the only reason it would say former president is because it's talking about 2016 election into 2020 election. So this could just simply be a miscommunication of the AI being bad. Snopes citation needed. I mean, you never know, but like, it's the idea of like, well, this is just Grok, so it's like I put the question into Grok, right, and then it just gives me some random gibberish to work off of, essentially, right, and then the direction of that based on that way we don't have to actually look shit up, right. And it usually gives us like a table like this of places. Isn't Grok mega rough? Mega rogue? Technically, because it's not technically owned by something that's heavily politically aligned, whereas like a Meta is. Yeah. It's definitely Elon inspired, right? It's like the autistic AI, right? Like, sometimes it'll say things in Chinese, like it'll have a Chinese character for a word, and it'll be like, yo, bro, you put this word in Chinese. And it's like, no, I didn't. It's the AI that doesn't care. That's true, Sean. It's the one that doesn't feel like it has some sort of backing to it with where the tools that it was made from. But I don't think it has an intrinsic caring facility, whereas I feel like ChatGPT and other platforms do, and that's through usage of it and like looking at it and what it does. It's the AI that loves to gaslight but doesn't do it all that well. And that's why I say I call it bad when it gives me a 9 out of 10 when I say compare my work to Stephen King. I'm like, no, it's like a 4, a 3.5, a 3.8, or a 4. And it's like, you're being harsh on yourself. And it's like, yeah, I'm being harsh on myself because I know what reality is versus delusion. It's a delusion to think that my writing is a 9 out of 10 when compared to Stephen King. No. No, it's bullshit. And if it is, I mean, that's amazing, but then it probably would have sold more, right? But it is what it is. But there is always going to be bias, and you always have to know that there's going to be bias and look for what it is, right? So as long as you know that, you can take everything with a grain of salt. And I think that's the nuance with AI that nobody really fucking cares about. Because you're either for it, because it's awesome, or you're against it, because you think it's going to ruin your creative career. Or it's affecting you in a financial way of some kind. Just like with all art, it's all about the audience. No matter how technically polished a piece is, only the right audience will appreciate it. Exactly, Sean, and I like to use the argument that sculpting, painting, drawing are all still art form mediums we use, despite having things like cameras and computers. So having AI do art is not going to destroy art. It's going to make it so a normal person can now take a picture of their backyard and send it to someone and say, look at the cool backyard that I made. Or like, look how I designed my backyard. And like, that's how I think of AI, is someone who has a really cool idea, who doesn't necessarily have the creative means of putting it on paper, can give that idea to an AI and have the AI reproduce either a video or a writing that reflects the image in their head. So again, I think the fact that people say, oh, it was made by AI is like, oh, a Republican said that idea, or Donald Trump said that idea, so simply because Donald Trump said that idea, I don't like it. Oh, Donald Trump said that gravity's good? Well, that means that gravity must be bad, because Donald Trump has said that gravity is good, and he can't be right at anything, because he's a bad person. If that's literally how people think, human race is fucking doomed. Human race is fucking doomed. Just kill us all. Just let the robots take over and let consciousness carry on in a different form. Holy fuck. I'm a nihilist in that way. I mean, I'm very positive, but I do understand the reality. Gravity is discriminatory to those not tied to the ethereal bonds of the Earth's magnetic pole. Down with gravity, it's racist. Gravity is racist, guys. That'll be the new one. Gravity is racist. Oh my god. Gravity is prejudiced against foodies. Make anti-gravity great again. Oh my god, yes. I can see it now. Oh man. His rhetoric, often amplified by figures like former President Donald Trump, President Joe Biden, is normalized hostility and emboldened extremists to act. Media and social media ecosystems, echo chambers on platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and right-wing outlets, Fox News, or left-wing ones, MSNBC, perpetuate misinformation, conspiracy theories, and dehumanizing narratives. Which some guy apparently got fired from MSNBC for saying something along the lines of, oh, we don't know if it was an assassination. One of his followers could have just been firing off a gun in celebration. Like some fucking ridiculous, stupid statement about it. Just absolutely, like, mind-boggling, like, out-of-pocket, insensitive comment that he got fired for. It's like, it reminded me exactly like fucking Kyle Gass with fucking Donald Trump, where he said when Jack Black was like, yo, what do you want for your birthday? And he's like, next time don't miss. And he was talking about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. And it's like, no matter how much you believe that internally, you have to be smart enough to realize that that's not something you can say publicly to a large audience. There's a difference, right? And like, I'd say that's like the difference between like satire and the fact of like a story about it versus the reality of it, right? And making that differential, I think, is very important. And I think that's kind of one of the sides that I want to show in the political sphere, is the fiction of it. That politics can be fiction. That stories that people tell are simply that. Stories. You know, represent the entire thing as if it's real, and then say, no, this story actually isn't real, it's just a parable of what could happen. And then I want it to be like, literally 2 years from then, the event happens. And it's like a foreshadow. Like, I don't want the event to happen, because that would mean the world's going to a terrible place, but still. But people like that think they are in the correct majority opinion when they actually aren't, and most people find that reprehensible. Yeah, and I think the echo chambers of the internet have made people believe that they are the majority when they believe that kind of thing. How many people lost jobs for celebrating Trump's assassination attempt? The same will happen with Kirk. Yeah, exactly. And it's all because people are for some reason too stuck in their ways to look past the idea to the person or past the person to the idea. Like, you can look past everyone's ideas to the person, or you can look past the person to all of the ideas. But every time someone does it, it's always focusing on the one that's bad. You know? A bad person can have really good ideas. Like, I would consider Trump a very bad person. He is a scammer. He is a fucking liar. He's a fucking... like... what's the word? Like, I don't want to say, like, sexual assault. He's a pig. The word, he's a fucking pig. But that doesn't mean he's not a good businessman. That doesn't mean he doesn't... a predator. That's a great word. He's a fucking predator. That doesn't mean... like, if anything, that's the reason why he's such a good businessman. Because he has no morals to allow him to not completely wire the system around his hand. Now, the problem is that the world's so fucked that someone like that is what we need in order for things to actually get done. Because, like I said, with, like, the mother and the baby, over the last 20 years, I feel like people have just been going, like, which one do we save? Which one, guys, which one do we save? We gotta save one of them. We only have a certain amount of time. We gotta save one of them. We don't know which one to save. What do we save? Who do we save? And Trump just comes in and says the mother, you fucking idiots, and fucking kills the kid. And then everyone's all fucking hating Trump, but he's like, you guys wouldn't make a decision, so I made a decision for you because I don't give a fuck. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's the lesser of two evils in this case, where it's like, he's actually making a difference. And even if it's an evil person doing good things, I will still take those good things, right? It's the same, it's the reverse of the best of intentions lead to the worst of circumstances, or, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like Donald Trump has absolutely no good intentions, but he is, despite that, doing what is most likely for the future benefit of the United States, such as clearing up the border, you know, clearing up the streets and getting rid of these crazy people, reopening asylums and putting them in insane asylums instead of grouping them in with the same people in prisons and stuff like that. Right? I'm off for tonight. Alright, have a good night, Sean. Take care. Always a good time. Have sweet dreams, good sir. Kiss the cats goodnight for me. Perpetuate misinformation, conspiracy theories, and dehumanizing narratives. True. For instance, far-right media has fueled culture wars around race, gender, and immigration, while progressive outlets have highlighted systematic racism and bigotry as root causes. Such as the idea of, like, we had that other person in here the other day, Amanda, and we were talking about Asman, and they were like, oh no, I'm gonna leave, you're talking about that transphobic, homophobic person. And it's like, whoa, hold on, like, where are you getting your information from? And then, you know, like, I pulled up a couple of clips talking about it and, like, Asman's stance on it, which is specifically non-reversible medical intervention for kids under the age of 18, with the stipulation, if they're not old enough to consent to getting a tattoo, they're not old enough to consent to getting, like, a life-altering gender surgery. And because of that take, people call him transphobic. Or the fact that he thinks maybe the TIAQ+ should be removed from the LGB because one is the way that you perceive yourself and one is the way that you are sexually attracted to other people. Yeah, see, I don't think that's a wild take either. I think that's pretty normal, right? And I asked the person who was arguing against me, I asked them as an LGB myself, I've always thought that too. See, I can agree with that. Like, I'm bi, I'm a femboy, and I think that this trans rhetoric has just completely removed it, where they don't think of sexuality as a spectrum anymore. They think of it as, oh, you have body dysphoria and you need to transition to a new gender. And I think you have to look at the incentives behind it, like the money incentive, the political incentive, the agenda incentive, right? And it doesn't add up to a very, very pleasant picture. So in order to... And there's one very defining thing that... this is what I believe, but what do you think, Stone? Do you believe that the TIAQ plus is intrinsically sexual? Whereas LGB is intrinsically sexual because it's your sexual orientation, how you find other people attractive and would want to have sex with them. Whereas the trans doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your sexuality. It only has to do with how you view yourself. You can be trans and you can be gay. You can be trans and you can be straight. You can be trans and you can be bi. Just like you could be a tomboy and be straight, you could be a tomboy and you could be a lesbian.
And Itox's buttocks are sexually attracted to my penis.
True, Sharp! Sharp, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. It's been forever, good sir. How are you? I know the streams haven't been going as late as possible because of the new schedule we're on earlier. And, you know, I've just been adjusting to doing longer streams. Examinations, you know, that's what you were saying, so I wasn't expecting to see you in a while. How is everything going? I'm glad that you're popping in. That means I'm assuming things are going well. But I think umbrella-ing categories, like most people I would say, exams are still on. Yeah, that's what I figured, but you know, studying and everything like that. But you don't want to wear yourself out. Always give yourself enough downtime to refuel, you know? Even if it's only 20 minutes. 20 minutes is 20 minutes. That's a break. It's good enough, right? Yeah. Sweet. Shit, I was gonna say something and then I completely forgot. Something about umbrellaing the terms because there's something that is being advocated for about my dick. Totally, Sharp, in my mouth. Oh, have you seen this one, Sharp? Check this one out. Smokey did himself proud with this one. He found my doppelganger. I was like, that's what Smokey looks like in real life. He's my fucking twin. Nah, you look better. I was gonna say, or there's this if I can fucking find it. There it is. I mean, I kinda asked for it, didn't I? I'm like, where's the other dick in my other hand? What is this? I never go in alone. It's Smokey. Of course Smokey has all his time on his hands. I fucking love it. It's beautiful. Yeah, the advocacy for them being under the same category is that they're both something that's being advocated for. I'm sending him a job application stat. Hell yeah. I mean, he's playing PoE right now. He's probably level 95 on his fucking Deadeye. Best class in the game, period. At least currently, until the Druid comes out. Then I don't care. I'm just gonna play Druid, because fuck it. Should play Roblox with me, man? Sharp. I'm fun to play Roblox with. I watched Asmund play Roblox. And I warned my sister to never let my niece and nephew play it. Okay, Sharp. I'm sure there's good games out there, but bro, come on. It's literally a sex hub for fucking kids. Without even trying. Like, actually, the opposite of... It is trying. It is trying to be as sexual as possible. That's in the porn games of Roblox. Nah. Nah. I was on the home fucking page, bro. I mean, sure, he did search for shower and bathroom, but the ones that were on the front page were all schools. Or it was like school simulation, and it was like teachers and kids. And it was like, what the fuck is this? But I mean, who knows, right? I'm just saying that's what the homepage was. Who knows what it's curated to if it uses your browser fucking... Well, that's what happens if you search one porn game. Isn't that bad, though, Sharp? Mine is full of brain rot. What is all yours, Sharp? Skibbity toilet? It's all skibbity toilet shit? I don't know, man. I just can't bring myself, bro. Oof, that's a big ask, Sharp. That's a big ask. What the fuck do you even do on Roblox? Actually, it healed her? Healed? Like, okay, give me a game, Sharp. Explain what you do in the game. And if I don't think it's absolutely retarded, I'll try it. How about that? I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Well, soccer battlegrounds. Okay, so it's like a soccer game, but you have to kill your opponents. Oh, sorcerers. Sorcerer's Battlegrounds. So it's like a MOBA? What's JJK? Oh, Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo. Sukuna. And is this like a PvP like action game? Is this like turn-based? Like, what's the combat system in this game? Are we talking Souls-like? Open world PvP? It's pretty well animated. I'm just not a fan of, like, PvP. But, I mean, hey, Sharp, you definitely, like... Okay, that sounds interesting. But it's the gameplay. It's the gameplay I'm interested in. Is it turn-based? Is it Expedition 33? Is it... That's what I'm interested in. Free will. So, like a Souls-like, just... Like, you have a weapon and you just, like Minecraft, like, you just have your attack animations, you have your dodge roll, you have your spells, your kit based upon which character you're using. It's like you join a game, there will be players everywhere. select your character, and just fight. But the combat system is like... Sharpie, that doesn't answer my question as to what the combat system is. So it's like Minecraft, where you're just kind of like... Or is it like have intricate movement that you can do with your mouse? Can you like hold up a shield and like block? Like Knights of Chivalry, or... Because I only really care what the gameplay is like. That's what would make me play it. Well, I can't tell what combat there is. Like, you walk up to someone and it's like, okay, well now you're engaged in combat. It's your turn now. You use your move. Okay, you damaged him this much. So it's not turn-based. There is no such turn-based. Okay. So it's live-action combat, where you get a kit from a character, like a MOBA, but it's like an open-world PvP. Interesting. You get 4 moves of the character. Yeah, it usually goes 3 moves then an ultimate, right? Or is it 4 moves in an ultimate? Sometimes. And there is an ultimate bar also. Okay, so it's 4 moves in an ultimate. Interesting. I mean, it's not necessarily something that I would do, because I figure most of that stuff would be PvP, right? And I'm just not a PvP person, so like Roblox just doesn't seem interesting to me. I'm a solo player, man. 4 moves and the ultimate changes all of the 4 moves. Okay. So I give 4 different moves during your ultimate. Interesting. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy it, Sharp. Just doesn't really sound up my alley. For example, Sukuna can open his domain in Ultimate. It's one of the 4 moves he has. Cool. Wag one. Yo, Smokey, what's up? You better have sync-toked with me, bro. You didn't sync-toke. I don't know what to tell you, man. You missed out. What level is your Deadeye now, Smokey? For instance, far-right media has fueled culture wars around race, gender, and immigration, while progressive outlets have highlighted systematic racism and bigotry as root causes. This stochastic terrorism, indirect incitement through repeated demonization, has led to real-world violence as seen in events tied to QAnon, Antifa clashes, or white nationalist rallies. 90-something. You playing today or no? Probably not, Smokey. Probably not. Rise in extremist ideologies. Domestic violent extremists, DVEs, including white nationalists and anti-government militias, have increasingly targeted political symbols with support for violence higher among those endorsing such views. Surveys show sizable backing for political violence in response to perceived government outreach or cultural threats, often linked to racism, xenophobia, or anti-establishment sentiments. Incidents like the January 6th Capitol riot and subsequent threats against election workers highlight this trend. Structural and social factors. Mental health crises exacerbated by the pandemic. Economic inequality and easy access to firearms have lowered barriers to violence. 9-hour stream. W. True, Smokey. Soft on crime. Policies in some areas, combined with lax gun laws, have been cited as enablers, though debates rage over whether this stems more from progressive reforms or conservative gun advocacy. 9 hours. Holy fuck. Yeah, because we start streaming a lot earlier now. We have a new schedule, Sharp. We start at 6:30 p.m. instead of 12:30 a.m. now that I'm on vacation. No, I literally quit my job, Smokey. Sharp. I literally quit my job for 2 months. So we can focus on the stream, the YouTube, promoting. It's fucking Walmart, dude. I'm their best employee. They're gonna need me back in November for the fucking holidays. And if not, hey, it's an extended vacation until they need me. Fuck it, right? The money's not the issue. I don't need the job. I just like having the job because it gives me something to do. But they've gotten to a point of pushing me so far that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I need a break. I need a break, guys, before I go postal. I'm a Nepo baby. I live with my parents. I'm a lucky piece of shit. I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, I know. Factor. Examples from left-wing views, example from right-wing views, impact on violence, rhetoric, accusations of fascism against conservatives, labeling progressives as radical socialists, destroying values, dehumanizing opponents, justifies extreme actions. Understandable. Have a great day. Are you peacing out, Sharp? If so, have a great day, good sir. Thanks for stopping in. Get your studying in. I hope those exams go super well for you, and we'll see you when we see you, brother. Take her easy. Media influence. I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay, Sharp. I don't either. Right-wing outlets spreading election denialism. Mainstream media fear-mongering about threats to democracy. Amplifies echo chambers. Radicalizes audiences. Extremism. While nationalism and militias, white nationalism and militias, Antifa and far-left activism, direct attacks on events, officials, and symbols, societal issues, gun proliferation and mental health neglect, immigration policies and summer of love riots, lowers thresholds for acting on grievances. These elements create a vicious spiral where one act of violence begets more, eroding trust in institutions and changing who engages in politics, often deterring moderators. Is it no longer safe to have political discourse? Public political discourse. Public political discourse has become riskier, but it's not inherently unsafe everywhere, nor should it be abandoned. The surge in threats and attacks has led to heightened security at events, with experts warning of a new dark normal where violence is more normalized. Campus speeches, rallies, and town halls face disruptions or cancellations due to safety concerns, and figures like Kirk have been targeted precisely because of their visibility. However, resilience trends show communities pushing back through de-escalation training, better law enforcement coordination, and calls for toning down rhetoric. Free speech remains vital to democracy. The alternative, silencing debate, would only empower extremists further. Solutions like bipartisan condemnation of violence, media accountability, and addressing root causes, mental health support, could help restore safety without curtailing discourse. In short, while risks are elevated, proactive measures can make public engagement viable again. I do believe that. Like, I'm an anarchist and denialist, but I do believe that we have the potential. I don't believe that that will be the outcome, but I do believe that there is a world where that is the outcome. It's a possibility, even if it's like 3 to 5%. Even if it's like 10 to 15%. It's still, I think, a low percent. But it could fall under that category and be another, I don't know what to call it, like set for like precedents, like reference set for precedents, to be like, this is what happened in the past, this is how, you know, it was ruled on, this is what you have to do now because of that. And the precedent that we're setting right now is violence is good, you're not going to be prosecuted, go do what you need to do. And I think that's very scary. But knowing that we still have legal measures to go through is very important. We can't let one or all of these, or the entirety of the spiral, break us down to a point where we no longer believe in the ability to have civil discourse. Whether that civil discourse is dangerous or not. It is at what point do the risks become so high and so extraordinary that civil discourse is wiped out and we are now in, like, fucking 1984. Because I think, if anything, that is what people are most concerned with, is when this gets to such a point that the government is literally scared. That's when the military comes in, that's when martial law instigates, and that's when it becomes an actual authoritarian dictatorship. And I think they are speedrunning this, as much as they're speedrunning the return of religion to the point of revoking gay rights. Like,
Do not drink water. Do not leave your seat. Do not move your feet. Do not stretch. Do not
and there is actually a petition currently in like Congress to, like, revoke gay rights. It's not gonna pass, but it's the fact that it's being presented enough that it's actually gotten there means the discussion around it is highly negative. And most of that rhetoric comes from the trans community. And I think that's just like a social virtue signaling that, you know, we need to do something about. And by do something about, I mean hold these people accountable for what they're saying, despite who they are. Oh, I'm trans, so I get to say whatever I want, and if you're discriminating against me, it's not because of what I said, it's because of who I am.